listen to the Type R-ness.
There's a badge over here.
There is.
Does that make it special?
That does make it special.
It says Type R on it.
Yeah, that's a special badge.
We like the Civics. The 11th generation Civic in all forms.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
We've driven it just about every way you can.
Civic
we
Touring,
like it.
We like all the Civics, which must mean we'll like the Type R, right? That's just a foregone conclusion. Plus, we like the 10th generation
That's the other thing, is that the prior Type R we liked a lot. Now, styling, it could be debated, but we really liked it. We drove it against multiple things, and it always did really, really well. It's a car we've talked about on the podcast a lot as one of the very best front-wheel drives ever.
Yes, we've recommended it constantly.
Yes, we have.
Because of the personalities. From comfort to sport, and now with R Plus mode that will almost throw you off the road.
Yes.
You will hate yourself if you drive in R Plus mode on the street. You'll just hate yourself.
Honestly, you'll hate yourself on some racetracks.
Yeah, it's true.
It is so aggressive. It is so stiff. It was built for glossy F1 tracks. And if that's not your track, if you aren't tracking at Coda, R is right out.
It's right out.
Yeah.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
Road trips, comparisons, test drives, and podcasts. This is Everyday Driver.
Just over $44,000 for this.
Yes.
Which is the same interior, same HVAC, same everything. The shifter is, of course, different, but all the money went into the mechanicals, clearly.
For sure.
Brilliant car. You're booking.
I am. Well, and I haven't even started trying yet. Now I'm going to try a little bit.
I haven't
That's
tried.
A little bit of trying, you know.
There's a meter on here. Like, are you even trying?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Still, it's a 2-liter turbo engine, but now it is the most powerful Honda they've ever sold in North America. 315 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. When and how much can we talk about the tires?
Let's talk about tires.
The last Civic had 245 width tires, which is solid for a car like this. That's pretty meaty. That's a good, solid tire.
Yep.
Nope. 265. Now, 265 is a wide tire on a car like this. It's 265 squared.
Let me put that into perspective. 265s, the width, is the back tire on my 2015 Cayman GTS. It's a square stance on this car, and the front track is wider than the rear by half an inch. They did the Audi RS3 thing on the Civic Type R. It sticks out. It's got this German car stance. Like,
it does.
Are we going to do something?
Yes.
I'm ready to play.
That's the other thing about it, is as a result of doing that super wide stance and these wide fenders for these huge tires, that means the only body panels that carry over are the doors, the front doors, mind you, not the back doors, and the roof.
Yep.
Everything else requires a Type R specific new body panel. I mean, this feels like, and I know they're selling it for 44 grand, but this feels to me like a blank check project, which makes me really wonder.
Really? Okay.
I think so, which makes me wonder if this is the last of the Type R's with a gasoline engine with this kind of thinking. Because honestly, the fact that they changed that many body panels alone shocks me.
That's an investment. You're right.
And they're not going to make a ton of these.
You're right.
The problem is, because they won't make a ton of these, and because it might be a last of the breed car, we're going to have massive markups, which horrifies me.
Well, that's not something we can control.
No.
All we know is what the manufacturer think their car is worth. Mm-hmm. Think it's worth 44 grand? We're exploring. Now, 315 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. I believe the last car made 306 horsepower, so a slight increase. But at this point, the power is so much in a front-wheel drive car and so entertaining, and it's so quick.
Yep.
The balance of this car between passengers, usability, comfort in the back seat, good seats in the front, actually excellent seats in the front. They're comfortable for just sitting in traffic, but they're still great for racetracks and a mountain road like this. The balance of everything is so calculated by Honda. I feel meetings. I feel budget arguments.
Type R, feel the meetings.
You can feel.
That's funny.
But what they have achieved is absolutely astounding.
It's at that level, you know, once manufacturers started breaking 200 horsepower in front-wheel drive cars, they all started really struggling with them being a handful and difficult.
Yes.
And that's the big thing I take away from this when I drive this car is you and I are having a conversation, and I'm driving.
Yeah.
But I'm not apologizing for anything, and we're going quickly.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not white knuckling over here. It's like, oh, if I want to drive this hard, it's going to be terrifying. It's just easy.
Right.
And it rotates really well. And those tires are a little bit of a cheater trick because you can actually, this has got the PS4S on it.
Yes.
You can get Cup 2s to really throw down.
Exactly.
One of my only critiques of this car is the fact that I think it's a little too hardcore for most people's do-it-all. The weird thing about that is, if you're going to buy a performance-only car, are you buying a Type R? Because I would think you'd buy a Type R to be your do-it-all, all-in-one car.
Which it can.
Which it
and
absolutely
it's very
can
good
be.
at that.
But it's so leaning toward the performance that I think it's sacrificed a few of the amenities that you might want in your all-in-one. And I think that's true of the Civic Si a little bit as well. So it feels like it's in a weird category for me. I mean, well, hang on. Sure. Let's do that.
That's really
That's
fast. I've never loved how inline fours sound.
This is not a
never really
Sonorous
liked
engine. This is not an attractive engine. No,
That's
not.
my complaint with this. But
Yes.
on the other hand, it's an inline four, so that's not what we're buying this car for. That's
True.
not what we're in the game to
True.
get out of this car.
Yeah,
Who
agreed.
cares, right? But for the power it makes is really, it's amazing. It's great. And they've done it with minimal torque steer, but there's still some. We want manufacturers to dirty it up a little bit.
Sure.
Want them to put another olive in the martini, a little more martini juice. It's a little dirtier than it should be.
Sure.
It's got to be something, character, personality. And that is what I'm getting out of this car.
I agree with that, yeah.
62% of the weight is over the front wheels, 38% to the rear. So of course you're feeling the weight of the car, but I believe there's more information in the steering wheel here than you would expect, which is a huge win, I think.
Well, and I don't think the car rotates in the way that that weight distribution suggests.
Yeah.
This is partially the stance, but this car is unbelievably wide and grounded feeling. And these seats, which are only all manual, unfortunately, but that's just reality, you're sitting very low in the car, and the car feels very wide, which are two sensations I'm not used to from front-wheel drive. I'm used to sitting very high and upright and way over the front wheels, and this doesn't have that sensation. This almost has a sensation, and you mentioned it in styling, where it almost looks like it could be rear-wheel drive, and it isn't.
That's the whole look of the car. You're behind it, and you see that stance, and to me, it's a very German car, and it looks like a rear-wheel drive car. I like the styling on the new Civic. They backed it off. It's cleaner surfaces. It does have a distinctive front, but now with the wide fender flares, when enthusiasts who know what this is see this car, suddenly there's this reverence. There's this, oh,
That's a Type R, yeah.
I get it. Wow, good job. You own one of those. There's a reverence reserved for supercars that you see at Cars and Coffee.
There is a, whoa, that's
Suddenly,
special.
like,
yeah.
ooh. So watch their heads turn as they see another Type R, triple pipes, wing, fender flares. Oh my gosh, it's aggressive, but most people are going to see hatch, and you got a flap on the back that's deployed.
Got a flap on the back. Is that broken? Does that go down? What happens? That's actually one of my only critiques is I actually love the styling of this. That wing should come in body color. I understand
so,
this is white and white with black accents. Maybe I'll let it pass here, even though I don't like white, and I know white's a traditional Honda color. I know all the things, but
It's not just white, it's
this
championship white.
comes in red and it
Hallowed
comes in
color.
blue.
Yeah.
Both of those versions should be able to get the wing in body color. You have a wing. Just embrace it. We're not hiding the wing.
Just paint the wing.
Just it should come in
All
body
right.
color. It just would be much cooler.
Right.
The black for me suggests it's aftermarket.
Oh, I see. This is the first time I've sat over here, and I feel like I'm sitting higher than you. There is not a height adjustment on this seat, which makes me think that is specifically designed for a helmeted driver. When you sit here, you tell me if you feel like you're sitting higher than me, because I don't have the height adjustment. Although on these seats, you do have the split in the thigh cushion here for 5 or 6 point harnesses, which is kind of a cool thing to think ahead.
Yep, for sure.
The rest of the interior is all of the other Civics. We do like the game controller joystick toggles, the clean surfaces, the mesh. It looks clean.
The HVAC rollers here
detent.
they're gorgeous. They're so nice.
Really great. I like the nav screen and that it's not too big. And even though it is planted, it looks very clean as far as relation to the other surfaces.
This doesn't feel like a $44,000 interior, but that's the thing about these performance front-wheel drives is they're always built on a more economical car, and so you carry that over. But what's nice is the materials are good. I mean, even in a base Civic, you play with these HVAC controls, you play with this nav screen. It also feels very easy to use, simple, fun, just nice, but not luxurious.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be.
Agreed.
You want all the money going into the mechanicals, into the engine.
As they did.
Fine.
I think it's a borderline blank check project.
Yeah.
I think they're selling it for $44,000, but once you're doing that many body panels on a limited edition car, you threw down.
Yeah, that's true. All right, when you sit here,
okay, I will.
You tell me.
All right, you got to drive. That's bizarre. I think you're right. I do feel higher. I mean, like just now sitting down, I'm like, yeah, I am. I do feel like.
Don't you think?
I have like one crank down. Like one crank down would be nice.
Because that's for instructors of all sizes. But here, I'm down a lot farther, so you can fit a helmet.
That's interesting. That's good thinking. All right. Okay. Cool. On the upside, they plan for trees like us.
Okay, good.
We can fit.
That is a great
that's
thing.
Cool.
I agree.
Make myself feel a little better over here.
Maybe
anyway,
it's no,
it's not. It's higher.
It's
higher. I was. It's different.
Weird.
Doesn't matter, but we're noting
Doesn't matter. But the seats actually are great. The support I really like.
They are really good. I think they're the kind of seats that are a bit aggressive for the daily all I did was sit in traffic today. You might not love them for that, but it's going to depend on your body type and what you like.
I like the lumbar though, and it keeps you planted.
Oh, big time.
Especially when you throw it in. I feel like this car has, you feel the history when you drive it.
Yeah, they didn't just start making Type Rs. Yeah,
30 years of Type Rs, whether it's NSX, Civic, Integra, Accord, you feel this history. And with the amount of power and how good the steering input is, there's no dead space here. I really like this car. I liked the 10th generation, but this car is really, really great.
It's not often that when we like a car, the next generation feels like an actual tick above it. This does feel like a notch above the last car. We've driven sometimes when the new car, we're like, no, the last one was better. Okay? But in this case, I do think they've refined it even further, and I'm impressed. I'm surprised.
I think what I like the most is the feeling of this car that makes you want to come find the performance. There's so much here. I don't feel like you're going to reach the edge quickly in this car. You might find it, and you might be able to hang out and drive there, but I don't know that you're going to go find it immediately, which is something that appeals to me in cars.
Yes, I know.
Just like the history has better numbers. They do it better. They're faster. They're more somehow, whether they feel better or not. There's always that incremental thing, and I'm feeling the Type R history and the fact that they have this responsibility to make the next one better, weighing on their shoulders.
Sure.
So therefore, this has got to be great. But what that's done to a front-wheel drive car is make the performance way out there. Most front-wheel drive hot cars, you think, I can reach the edge as quickly as I can in a Miata. I can go find it.
Sure.
This one has it. The limits are pretty high.
But I also think those limits are approachable. That's the other thing. This car is not daunting at all.
No.
Sometimes when you get a car with really high limits, to find them, you have to this is starting to get scary, okay?
Yeah.
This car is so approachable. It is so daily usable. It is so normal, back road wonderful that you can explore the limits.
Yeah, I think this also will suit a lot of types of drivers' idea of high performance driving. If you screw up a corner and you have to turn in harder and sharper, well, you can. It's not going to upset the car. It's not going to make that back end step around.
Sure.
As if you're driving a 911. You drive this in the opposite way you do a 911. You do all the opposite things, but you do it at a magnified level that I've never felt in a front-wheel drive car before.
This
is way out there.
Incredible to drive. It really is very fun, and
you're hangs
moving.
on.
And that I keep feeling like that. You don't have to slow down. It's fine. I keep feeling like the tires are this big cheat code to those super wide tires. You're appreciating them like crazy when you drive this car, which is wonderful. Speaking of high performance driving, the last gen had heat problems on the track. All the way to the point that when we did our pilgrimage trip, we had somebody that rented a Civic Type R, and they got too much heat soak, and the car had to be retired. Okay?
Yeah.
Honda knows this was the case, and they have totally rethought cooling on this car. This car has so much more airflow and cooling than the last one, and that was just to try to make it more track ready. And they apparently think they've done it because the press launch, we weren't at it, but the press launch was at a racetrack with the car on its optional Cup 2 tires. Now these tires, already as wide as they are super sticky and have so much grip.
Yeah.
Throwing this car around a racetrack on Cup 2s sounds like madness, but that's what they did to show off the fact that they've made it more track ready.
If you buy this car and you don't take it to the track, shame on you.
You've certainly missed out. Definitely.
You've missed out. And
That's
you have
what
this thing is for.
Well, you shouldn't buy this and make it just your commuter. I hope you're buying it to have some fun with it.
I agree.
Back roads, racetracks, it needs it because then you go, I can't believe this car's this good.
Begging for it.
Yes.
Yeah. Midway through the corner, add power. Before you enter the corner, just add power and just roll on all the way through the corner.
That's almost
the beauty
that
of this car.
performance all-wheel drive thinking you can apply to this, which is not something typically the front-wheel drive's like.
And you don't have to apologize to your rear-wheel drive car-owning friends to say, well, I only have a front-wheel drive car. If they drive this, when you thrash them soundly in a corner, like, well, how did you do that?
Go run with your buddies. I don't care what they drive. Go run on a back road with your buddies. You'll love it in this car.
This is brilliant. It just comes back to the price. It just seems expensive to me. The last one seemed expensive.
Yeah.
And I also think that the price reflects the history.
Interesting.
Because it's a Type R, hallowed ground.
Sure, yeah.
We've got to put it out of reach of most people, or many people.
Interesting.
And that's kind of a bummer to me, because the Civic Si is $29 grand.
Yeah.
This is $15,000, $16,000 more. And the performance is incredible. It's stout. It's better than it's ever been. And you're right. I hope that Honda never stops building this combination of shifter and how good it is. How
it's great.
Interesting it is. I mean, this is peak 1990s shifter. Honda S2000, Acura, and SX.
It's up there.
It's like they remembered what they used to do, because there's been a period of time where they're like, I don't think the Hondas were shifted as good. I don't think the power was as good. Speaking of power. Oh, it gives you the landing shifting lights, like the landing lights, like you're landing a spacecraft. Jeez.
It's powerful. It's quick. This is a very impressive version of the Type R, and I really am liking it. And I'm pleasantly surprised by how good it is. I will say on that price, it is expensive, but it's right down the middle of the Golf R and the Toyota GR Corolla.
Fair.
Now, I'm not saying those should be that much, but these are all this much now, okay?
Everybody's doing it.
This is what these cars are costing when you do the 300 horsepower performance economy cars. And on one level, that's, to your point, the SI is affordable and great.
Yeah.
Why are these so much more? You can tell that there's R&D here, though.
You can.
You can definitely feel the fact that they worked on this car. It wasn't just like, sometimes when you do the performance version, what do? We crank up the boost, we put on better tires, and we charge more. That's not what happened here. Seriously, it's not what happened here. The thought, body panels, recalibration of suspension, more cooling, a lot went on here.
Yes,
you got to pay for that somehow. I suspect that Honda doesn't make much on these. The dealers will, sadly, but I don't think Honda's going to make much.
But Honda couldn't not build this car.
No, it's awesome. I'm thrilled that they did.
Burnishes the badge. It only adds to their legacy.
It does. You're right.
And I hope that this becomes tribal knowledge forever. I hope they don't get into other types of drivetrains, EVs, and forget how good you can make a front-wheel drive car.
Brace yourself. I think that's coming.